Dear colleagues, I would like to tell you about mediation in Hong Kong. Actually, that alternative dispute resolution is a big trend now, and mediation is a part of that trend. And also, I'd like to draw your attention to some measures to promote mediation in Hong Kong, to make it more popular. I don't know. Do you know actually what mediation is?
No.
Yeah,
No way.
I think Stas has no clue, but
Stas has made some presentations, yes, now we know what mediation is. It was
okay, because I will not speak about what mediation is. And it costs too much. So if parties agree to use some different ways to solve the dispute, it's very good for civil justice system. So year 2010, we can speak about mediation code. But mediation code, it isn't a binding document. It's just a code of practice on mediation. The next document is very important. The name is a bit weird. It's Practice Direction number 31 on mediation. That was practice direction for courts, not for ordinary people. But the rules that we can find in that direction on the 1st of July 2012 are very short about areas of mediation. You can see family mediation, construction mediation, commercial mediation. You can read it on the slide. What is interesting, I like that peer mediation in schools. It's such a way to solve disputes at schools that arise among children that study there, to make mediation more popular.
I'm sorry, once again, and what is the difference between building management mediation and construction mediation?
Look, well, at first they build the building and they manage it.
Okay.
Have you seen Hong Kong had that buildings?
Yes.
It's not so easy. Just a bit about some novels of that ordinance. It gives the term of mediation, and you can. I will not read it loud. You can just notice that mediation itself, it's about identify the issues in disputes, explore and generate options, communicate with one another, and reach an agreement. So, as you can see, the person that conducts mediation procedure, the person cannot solve the dispute. That person only gives some options, tries to help to communicate. Just a bit about accreditation of mediators. It's individual for each center, and if you have a question, what's that accreditation? How can a person become a mediator in Hong Kong? It's not that easy, but it's also not that complicated. It's about 40 hours training course, and then you have to pass a very large exam that divides into two parts. Some simulated cases where you act as a mediator, and also you have pass a written exam. It's a very important feature of mediation, confidentiality of the whole procedure. And anything said or done that they also have the working group that works only on promotion of mediation, and they consider such groups to work with. For example, legal practitioners, mediation service providers, frontline conflict resolvers, chamber of commerce, consumer council, schools, universities, every place where they convince people to use mediation. And I think the last thing I want to submit today, it's about mediation shares. It's also a way to promote mediation, because people sometimes they do not understand what mediation is, because it's a very flexible procedure. And sometimes people need some shame just to understand what does it mean. And there are a lot of mediation schemes that are already made for people, for legal entities that deal with different problems, and already have some authorized mediators. And also very interesting scheme, Lehman Brothers related investment products, dispute mediation and arbitration scheme. As we know, Lehman Brothers was a very huge bank. It collapsed, and then there were a lot of people, a lot of parties, a lot of legal entities that had a huge number of disputes concerning Lehman Brothers collapse. So there is a scheme. There are mediators that are really good at it. So they work with the people that suffered from Lehman Brothers, unfortunately. So if you have any questions, I would like to ask them. Thank you.
I have one.
Okay.
Well, can we go back to the second slide? Yes. You told us that mediation code, it wasn't binding, and why it was issued? I mean, what it was issued for?
It's like IBA guidelines. It's also not binding, but everyone's at mediation center, and now you can mediate only as a member of some mediation center.
Okay, so if I am just an individual and not a member of any mediation center, and two parties ask me to mediate their dispute,
You're just a friend of the parties.
so
you just help them.
and the decision, the mediation agreement, will not have the same nature as the mediation agreement conducted by a true mediator. Okay.
True mediator.
And last question. What is the nature of mediation agreement?
Look, it's always about the procedure. When you make mediation procedure, if it is a court-connected mediation procedure, you can understand it's one nature. Also, they have that mediation arbitration procedure. It's also a different nature. But when it's not connected to that two bodies, then it's just an agreement.
So it can be enforced as usual through courts and so on.
It can be enforced only as an agreement.
Okay, so they have the same situation as we have in Russia.
Yes,
Unfortunately. For them. For us. Thank you.
Any other questions?